Hello everyone. Today the topic which we're gonna study is seronegative spondyloarthropathies. Let's dissect this term. The seronegative mean that something is serologically negative. What is serologically negative? It's a rheumatoid factor. Spondylo means spine and the arthritis mean inflammation of a joint. So seronegative spondyloarthropathies are a group of a disorder in which the rheumatoid factor is serologically negative and involves spine. These include a group of disorder. Characteristically, there are five disorders included in seronegative spondyloarthropathies. These include ankylosing spondylitis, psoriatic arthritis, reactive arthritis, arthropathy related to inflammatory bowel disease, and undifferentiated seronegative spondyloarthropathies. All of these disorders show a common feature, such as they all will have a negative rheumatoid factor. They will show a strong association with HLA-B27. About 90% cases of ankylosing spondylitis, 75% cases of reactive arthritis, and 50% cases of psoriatic arthritis are HLA-B27 positive. Apart from that, there will be an asymmetrical oligoarthritis. Asymmetrical mean that only one limb will be involved, and oligoarthritis means that 2 to 4 joints are involved. They will also have an enthesitis, which is the inflammation at the insertion site of tendon and ligament. They will have an inflammatory spondylitis. They will have an extra articular feature, such as apart from a joint, they will involve other system of a body, and they will have a dactylitis. Dactylitis is a digital inflammation. The digit get inflamed and will attain a shape of a sausage. So it is called as a dactylitis. Now we will study each of these disorder in detail. In this lecture, we will study the ankylosing spondylitis, and the remaining four will be discussed in part 2 of seronegative spondyloarthropathies. So what is ankylosing spondylitis? Ankylosis means the newborn formation and spondylitis means the inflammation involving back. It is a classical form of seronegative spondyloarthropathies. It usually occurs in male. The male to female ratio is about 3:1, so it shows a male dominance. It usually occurs in young individuals who are about 20 to 30 years of age. So what are the clinical features of ankylosing spondylitis? The ankylosing spondylitis patient will be a young adult who will present as a low back pain. The patient back pain will improve with exercise and worse with activity. Remember that the patient usually have an episode of a severe pain at night, and it awake a patient from sleep. On awakening, when a patient do walk or some exercise, the pain will reside. The patient will have a bilateral sacroiliitis and spondylitis. Remember that the bilateral sacroiliitis is a prerequisite for the diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis. In very late disease, due to persistent inflammation of a spine, there will be a thoracic kyphosis and loss of a lumbar lordosis. So due to loss of these normal curvature of spine, the patient will have a restrictive lung disease, and the patient will have a protruded abdomen. Apart from spine, the ankylosing spondylitis also cause enthesitis. Enthesitis is inflammation at the insertion site of a tendon and ligament. Due to inflammation, there will be also an erosion of an adjacent bone around the tendon and ligament. It is also a common presentation, and it classically involves Achilles tendon. So due to involvement of Achilles tendon, the patient will have a heel pain. Apart from Achilles tendon, it can also involve a supraspinous tendon. Dactylitis is also a common feature of ankylosing spondylitis. In dactylitis, there is a swelling of finger and toes. This swelling is due to soft tissue inflammation. So, due to a soft tissue inflammation, there will be a swelling of a finger and toes, and the finger will attain a shape of a sausage. You can see a sausage shaped finger in this image. This is called as a dactylitis. Apart from these articular manifestations, the ankylosing spondylitis also cause extra articular manifestation, mean that it will involve multi-system of a body. The most common symptom involved with eye. In eye, it causes anterior uveitis and iridocyclitis. Around 25% of a patient who have ankylosing spondylitis will have eye manifestation. Apart from eye, the ankylosing spondylitis also affect cardiac system. In cardiac system, it causes aortic regurgitation and AV heart block. Remember that the aortic regurgitation occur in about 4% of our people, and it is due to aortitis. So due to aortitis, it will lead to a aortic regurgitation. So how we will diagnose ankylosing spondylitis? Remember that ankylosing spondylitis is usually a clinical diagnosis, mean that a young male who have a back pain which improve with activity and aggravate with rest is a typical case of ankylosing spondylitis. Apart from this clinical feature, we can also perform X-ray and MRI of sacroiliac joint and spine. The sacroiliac joint will show a joint space narrowing and the spine will attain a shape of a bamboo on X-ray. How this bamboo spine is produced? This bamboo spine is produced as a result of two processes. The first one is the squaring of the vertebrae and the second one is the formation of a syndesmophyte. The squaring of vertebrae results from a persistent inflammation. Due to persistent inflammation, there will be erosion. Due to erosion, the vertebrae will attain a shape of a square. And the syndesmophyte are produced from the enthesitis process. Due to enthesitis, there will be a syndesmophyte formation. This square vertebrae will connect with each other with the help of a syndesmophyte. So the spine will attain a shape of a bamboo. You can see the bamboo spine in this X-ray. So this bamboo spine is a stiff structure which is more prone to fracture. Remember that in radiological investigation, the MRI are more sensitive than X-ray for the diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis. Apart from radiological investigation, we can also perform CBC test and CRP. In CBC, the ESR will be raised and the CRP will also be high in ankylosing spondylitis. HLA-B27 can also be measured in the blood lymphocyte and it is positive in about 90% of cases of ankylosing spondylitis. But remember that performing HLA-B27 test is the most common wrong answer in diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis. Remember that about 90% of cases of ankylosing spondylitis will have HLA-B27, but it lacks sensitivity and specificity because the HLA-B27 are positive in a large amount of population. So the large amount of population who have HLA-B27 are not suffering from ankylosing spondylitis. So we usually do not perform this test and it lacks clinical significance. After diagnosis, now come toward the treatment of ankylosing spondylitis. The treatment based on severity. For mild symptom, we use NSAID. For the persistent active inflammation, we use TNF inhibitor. The most common anti-TNF drug used for ankylosing spondylitis is etanercept and adalimumab. Apart from TNF inhibitor, we can also use the interleukin 17 inhibitor. It includes a kinumab such as secukinumab and ixekinumab. These are most recent drug approved by FDA for the treatment of ankylosing spondylitis. Remember that the DMARD such as methotrexate are not used in the treatment of ankylosing spondylitis. So the DMARDs are most common wrong answer in the treatment of ankylosing spondylitis. We do not use it in ankylosing spondylitis. Apart from DMARDs, the steroids are also not used in ankylosing spondylitis because it worsens the back pain due to osteopenia. But in extra-articular manifestations such as anterior uveitis and enthesitis, we can use steroid. Apart from this medical therapy, we can also refer a patient for physiotherapy for maintaining good posture, and in severe spinal deformity, the surgery can also be performed. With appropriate treatment, the ankylosing spondylitis show a good prognosis. About 80% of a patient get recovered and are employed, but minimum patient will develop a complication such as restrictive lung disease, cauda equina syndrome, spine fracture with spinal cord injury, osteoporosis, and the spondylodiscitis. So it was all about the ankylosing spondylitis. If there is any question regarding ankylosing spondylitis, you guys can ask. The rest of the four seronegative spondyloarthropathies will be discussed in next video. Stay tuned.